Yo, what up? So I've been having some interesting conversations in a couple different group chats about this whole Kanye West Drink Champs interview. Normally I mind my business, but after seeing all these weird responses, I felt the need to add my 2 cents. There's a point I want to make, but in order to make my point, I need to show y'all this video to give you context. Language warning. There's going to be some foul language, but I'm not going to censor it so you can see how real it is. Check it out. Yo, so what you saw right there is me on stage with my brother Nems at EOW. Shout out to Nems, shout out to EOW. And you're probably like, oh yeah, that's footage of Datin before becoming a Christian. Wrong. That's me 2 years into my walk. 2 years into my walk. And you're probably like, yeah, you're not bearing no fruit. There's no way you were a Christian. Can't blame you. But what you can't see, you're seeing a man in his sanctification process, sinning, right? But what you're not seeing and what you can't see is what the Lord is doing behind the scenes in my heart, changing me in my real life. And you're just seeing me fall and sin right there, because now I'm keeping this persona and I'm walking into this role and behaving the way that you do when you're a rapper, because it's all you ever knew. I was immersed in the culture. It took a long time, about 3 years, for God to finally get me to fully submit everything, because I had idols in my heart and massive bondage. Plus, the way I spoke. This is what we do. It's all I ever knew. The people I hung out with, the circles I kept. I didn't know you were supposed to keep other circles. This was all I knew. I was so immersed in this culture that it's all I ever knew. I'm a hip hop baby, right? It took the Holy Spirit's work to lift the veil, so to speak, to remove the scales from my eyes, and to step by step let me see how these things were harmful for me, and I needed to pull away from them. It was his work and his work alone. And he was sanctifying me, and he's still sanctifying me to this day, right? When the Lord saves you, everything just doesn't go away. Because of my upbringing, I have PTSD. I don't like to sit with my back facing the entrance. I want to watch who's coming in. When I see movement in my peripheral, I'm like, yo, I'm looking. I'm cautious. There may be a paranoia. It's because of my upbringing. These things don't go away. If you were a bad cook before a Christian, you'll be a bad cook after you become a Christian. The Lord just doesn't make you a good cook. It takes training. So there's certain things that the Lord will grace you and do a work right away and strip away from you. And there's other things that you need to be retrained in, or just trained in, period. If you want to be a good cook after a Christian, you got to get trained, right? If I wanted to be a good Christian, I needed to be trained through his word, by his Holy Spirit, and through discipleship. And then when you're that prideful and you think you got the answers, you may even be hesitant to receive from someone. No one could force themselves into my life. I had to allow them. But first, in order for me to allow them, the Holy Spirit had to soften my heart. You're seeing a man in that video with massive bondage and still in his sanctification process. My point: as I watched this Kanye West interview, I sympathized for him. Do I co-sign everything said? Heck no. Did he say some things that concerned me? Yes, definitely. Do I write him off? No, because I see a man that is possibly in his sanctification process. When I look at me, I think about me and my testimony and my life, my little amount of fame and all these things, these idols that I didn't want to let go of. It was so hard to do. Imagine this man who's been immersed in this culture for 20 years, who's been behaving this way for 20 years and it's all he knows. The way he stunts, you don't get it. It becomes a habit. They not stunning for you. These rappers think, some of them think you worth the sweat on their toe. Like you not worth the sweat on their toe. They stunt for each other. They stunt to compete with their peers. So he's not hanging out with regular people. Look at all the name drops, all these billionaires that are his peers. So that's what they do. They talk mad spicy and they boast, and we're just saying like, yo, this is all he knows. The language, just how he expresses himself. Then he's a self-proclaimed genius. He calls himself a genius, right? You think a self-proclaimed genius is going to be quick to allow accountability from a Christian, especially one not as successful as him? Yo, that's gonna be a work for the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit alone. I want to add that my faith is not in Ye's ability to get it right. My faith is in the Holy Spirit to complete the work. If that work is for the Holy Spirit, my faith is in the Holy Spirit to do his job on Ye and to soften his heart so that he could be retrained. When you're born again, you have to learn how to live again. And it takes time. And some of y'all, I've been watching some of the responses and they're absolutely insane. You ain't been through a quarter of what that man been through. And you acting like you got delivered from all of that bondage. Like, yo, when I got saved, I went and I boom, 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 boom. Instead of that getting you prideful, what it should do is make you grateful that the Holy Spirit graced you to be able to live for Jesus and let go of your bondage faster than someone like me or someone like Ye. And if I had a hard time, I could only imagine what this man is going through. I could only imagine. Let me put it this way, right? So if you and I went to the hospital and you went for stitches, right? But I went because I needed to get a cancerous tumor removed, right? Our time on the operating tables would be different. You would get stitched up, you would get sent home, and you would go recover. I may need multiple surgeries, chemotherapy, God forbid, and my recovery time would take a lot longer. Why? Because I needed more work done, because I was sicker than you. I view our sanctification process the same. Your process, your time on the operating table was probably a lot shorter than Ye's because he's dealing with more bondage and more crap that just needs to be dealt with. So that should make us sympathize for him instead of stoning him. We need to have a posture of long suffering for our brothers. And believe me, as I watched this interview, I was suffering. I was like, dag, yay, ouch. But my hope is not in him. My hope is in the Lord. And that the Lord will complete this work that he started in him. Man, I just also want to add, because I've been seeing people hold him accountable to their false theologies that are full of holes. That is super disturbing. I've been seeing people hold him accountable to their misinformation about the occult. Go look into my background. I've shared, I don't like talking about this too much on the gram. I've led someone from the occult to the Lord and read their literature. So I'm fully informed on this stuff. And I be looking at a lot of these accusations like, yo, this is goofy, bro. Because I've read their stuff and heard from the horse's mouth, and a lot of these conspiracy theories are just regurgitating the misinformation they receive from YouTube, and it's crazy. So a lot of y'all are already writing him off based on your misinformation. I just want us to be more patient, more loving, and more hopeful in the power of the Lord and his might to save than giving the devil more credit in his ability to keep us from the Lord. Because a lot of us do that. A lot of us do that. Man, look, humble yourselves. I know you were delivered from some stuff, but it ain't the same as Ye. It ain't the same as Ye. Your little crack dealing past, and yo, I used to smoke blunts and I got mad baby mama. So yo, I used to do this. Everybody want the Superman horror story. It's not like this dude, bro. Let's humble ourselves. It's not what my man be going through. Some crazy stuff in the industry, and a lot of y'all are comfortable behind your keyboards or your phones typing about stuff you know nothing about. And a lot of y'all reveal how much you really don't step outside the four walls of the church, because your expectations are so unrealistic. You've been dealing with Christians for so long that you forgot what it's like. You forgot what it's like to go through this process, to get saved, right? You may be leading people to the Lord that ain't got much to let go. At this point, all they need to do is just stop cussing, stop drinking, stop fornicating, and go to church. You know what I'm saying? Man, don't let that desensitize you. There's people in this world with real problems and real bondage, real demons, real or just real lifestyles that are just hard to be removed from. May we have long suffering. May we be hopeful. May we be patient. May we not be the Pharisee that says, thank God I'm not like this man. When the tax collector, still, it was referenced to tax collector because he was a crooked tax collector and still a tax collector. And he said, Lord, forgive me, a sinner, have mercy on me, and left that day justified. My man is professing to believe in Jesus Christ. Yo, you got to put some respect on my God's name. You call on his name, he going to pull up and check you. And to Ye, I would humbly tell him in love, man, I would give him the parable about the rich man. I would tell him the story about the rich man in the Bible. And I would tell him that God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Man, and there's work for us to do too. It says to have self-control. So man, I'm praying, if you saw this, I'm praying for you, that you would have self-control, that you would submit all your ways to the Lord and allow him to have his way in your life. And he would just make what you think you can do on your own 10 times better, 1,000, 1,000,000 times better. And he can do a lot more with you than you can do on your own. So, God bless y'all. I pray this made sense.